So my presentation is on weather and climate challenges facing urban and mountain tourist destination, and the focus definitely will be on Cape Town. And okay, I don't know what's happening. Right. So mountain tourism is a type of tourism activity which takes place in defined and limited spaces within topographic, and it's severely influenced by weather and also the biodiversity that is in it. It encompasses quite a number of tourism activities, and most of these activities are crucial in also and generate a lot of income. When we look at mountain and tourism destination, particularly in Africa, it's a significant portion of tourism, and we've got quite a number of tourism destinations across the continent, all the way from Mount Kilimanjaro, Rwenzori Mountains, Mount Kenya, Maluti Drakensberg Mountains, which is, I think, one of the biggest mountain chains with, I think, several tourism destinations along the chain, which contributes immensely to the socio-economic development of the people on that particular route. But on top of these destinations is Table Mountain, which is one of the top mountain tourism destinations. Rationale, given the reliance of outdoor tourism activities, I think as we have seen, mountain tourist destinations are particularly vulnerable to weather and climate changes. So if you look at most of these activities, because most of these activities are outdoor activities, they also tend to be susceptible to various extreme weather events that we have seen and that have characterized the climate change discussion space. This study, therefore, seeks to examine some of the vulnerabilities of Table Mountain National Park, which, if we look at Table Mountain National Park, it is central to tourism in Cape Town, South Africa, and SADC as a whole. And if you look at SANParks, it is one of the biggest cash cows for the entity. So it is a critical tourism destination in that regard. If you look, just to look at some of the statistics with regards to the importance of Table Mountain, you've got Chapman Peak Drive, which is part of the Table Mountain. You have got Table Mountain, and if you look at those figures, you can actually see the significance of this particular study site in terms of contribution, and also you can see how it is also recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. So just to look at also the importance of Table Mountain, if you look at natural attractions in terms of domestic tourists, how much time is actually spent, you see that it is the second most amount of time is actually spent on these natural attractions that also includes Table Mountain. If you look at the, this is statistics from Westgrow. If you also look at international tourists, they also spend a significant amount of time on Table Mountain, even as much as, so the Table Mountain is a significant, has got a significant impact on tourism in Cape Town. Would have gone even to the shore to try and show you how important that is. So in this study, we particularly relied on qualitative data that was collected from key informants, interviews that were conducted with SANParks employees, and also some field observations. And most importantly, I'm going to touch a lot about the climate data, and we made use of climate data that was obtained from NASA. Largely, this is data that is collected from satellites. So if you, most of the time when you open your phone on Google, this is the kind of data that actually it's highly reliable, and it's used in our climate change modeling space. And we did some sort of trend analysis to just get an idea of how much, what are some of the trends in terms of various weather parameters. So as I've indicated, the Table Mountain has several tourism activities that are vulnerable to extreme weather events, and amongst other, you've got the hiking, the cable drive, bicycle tours, filming, picnics, and camping. So there's a whole range of life that is actually centered around Table Mountain. So it is actually imperative to understand how various weather elements, so climate, extreme weather events are affecting that. So the first thing that we did was to look at temperature. Why temperature? Temperature is is increasingly become an imperative study to understand how temperature is affecting various activities. So the first graph just shows us the average temperature trends. So this is the max and mean that is averaged to give you a daily trend. But if you look closely to that graph, I'm not so sure if this points. It did point. You need to point on it. Oh, on that one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but if you look at this particular trend, you can actually see that we have got a lot of, particularly if you look at the bottom there, we have got a lot of increase in terms of the lows becoming higher as compared to the earlier period. So this is data from 1982 all the way up to 2022. We then looked at, because sometimes the average temperature might not necessarily give you an accurate picture, particularly if you're going to go on a picnic. You are most likely to influence, to experience both maximum temperature and minimum temperature. So in this regard, I looked at the maximum temperature, and you can look there, you realize that the temperature for Cape Town is actually, you've got a lot of peaks, a lot of temperature that is above, well above, this is daily temperature. So this is what you would experience on a particular day. So you see a lot of spikes that are well above 35 degrees. Particularly if you look, I think we can start even looking at temperatures that are above 30 degrees. So this to us becomes a concern because of, I think you will see what implications this has, particularly on someone's body when they want to participate on a particular activity. The second graph, this one just shows you the number of days that are above 30. So if we slice there, you can see that we've got quite a significant number of days that are above 30 degrees Celsius, which means this is something that we really need to take into consideration. And if you also look at, with regards to Cape Town, there are also concerns with regards to sometimes extremely cold days, and that can also affect a lot of tourism and activities that are taking place. And in some instances, you actually have sub-zero temperatures actually being recorded. This also, so we're seeing a lot of extremes, both in terms of highs and also lows that we sometimes did not see there. And if you check there, this is all, I'm sure those that are in the climate space, this is our El Nino period that we have been experiencing over the past couple of days. Right. I am sure a lot of people have never seen the South African Weather Services reporting on humidity. And humidity is actually central, particularly when we want to look at the impact of temperature on human beings, particularly the high temperatures. So what relative humidity tends to do is that it affects our body's ability to actually sometimes respond to extreme temperatures. So if humidity is high, our body is not able to respond properly in order to regulate and to keep our body temperature low. So we looked at Cape Town. So if you look at Cape Town, you can see quite a number of days we have got humidity that is well above 50%. And that humidity is actually increasing. So what actually that does is that if it is hot, it becomes even hotter. So you feel like you are in a geyser of sorts. Right. Okay. Right. So what happened is that NOAA developed what is called a heat index. So a heat index is an indicator that it gives you, it draw parallels between relative humidity. So we saw that with regards to Cape Town, you've got 30 degrees Celsius there, and if your humidity, for example, say, want to look at temperatures 30 degrees and your humidity is either 55 or 60. What that means is that the caution fatigue is possible with proportional exposure and activities. Continuing activity could result in heat cramps. So a lot of people that go on adventure in Cape Town then are also exposed to all these extreme. So if it is 32 to 41, depending on, again, if relative humidity is high, it means it increases the chance of those people actually having a lot of challenges. So we saw some temperatures around 40, danger, heat cramps and heat exhaustion are likely. Heat stroke is probable with continued activities. So this actually shows you that a lot of tourists that actually visit the Table Mountain on a daily basis, they are vulnerable to particularly heat stress. We also looked at rainfall, and you can see that you have got incidences also where you have got extreme rainfall activity. So this is daily data, this is not annual data. So you've got a lot of intense rainfall activities. You can see there, I think this was close to about 100 millimeters of rain that fell on one day. This also, when you look at places such as Chapman Peak Drive, it also presents a lot of challenges for mountain hikers and also land and mudslide along the Chapman Peak Drive and other areas. I can see that my time is running out. We also looked at, so we can have a discussion around this. We also looked at wind speed. Why wind speed? Wind speed is actually critical for a lot of the activities that take place, particularly if you're going to take a cable car. The cable car is dependent on wind speed. If the wind speed is too high, as you can see there on those spikes, those operations are actually shut down. And given the amount of money that is actually paid by tourists, this also poses a challenge. Right, I'm just going to, there's also a problem with fire. We can see that because of increased aridity, drought in some years, we also have challenges with the fire season that is actually increasing. And the fire season is actually starting earlier and is longer. And the fire that has been experienced, they are becoming more intense, and that has led, I think, to several disruptions in terms of tourism activities. So when there's a fire outbreak, it is impossible for a lot of activities to actually take place. More frequent fires are being experienced, and that you've got impact on the entire value chain of the activities that can be done in Cape Town. So this is just a synopsis of some of the challenges that are in Cape Town and Table Mountain. Thank you.